time to get geeked up.
But anyway, like we said, all joking aside, Dustin Diamond, 44, I think was our first almost RIP that actually came to fruition. Dude, super sad. Like him or hate him, he was full of scandal. But 44 years old.
I mean, most lovable guy.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, RIP Dustin Diamond, gone too soon. Fuck cancer, all that. But it really got us thinking. It's one of the shows. I mean, as our first before news radio, or even before Seinfeld, our first really sitcom we watched. Like the first before there was fucking Ross and Rachel, dude. There was Zack and Kelly. You know what I mean?
Yes, for
and
sure.
The nerdy friend. Like I was so invested in this show. And
no,
really
for sure.
The
show really was a huge part of my childhood, because like you said, it was really it's a show I would say I guess it's interesting because I always looked at it as a show that is for kids because I watched it as a kid. But I guess like what's the age? Like what was their target demo when they made it? Was it supposed to be for 8-year-old to 10-year-old kids, or for more like 12 to 15-year-old kids? Because the content matter, like they're in high school and most of the stuff is more of kissing, like all the episodes were about kissing before we were kissing or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like we were in third grade watching it.
Most targets are 6 years, right? Like you're 20 to 26 or 26 to 32. I would say 9 to 15 would be your target audience for Saved by the Bell, right?
Yeah.
Like 9 years old.
Okay, that's a good call.
Start learning boners. And then 15, you're right on the edge. It was
for sure.
I don't care about Saved by the Bell anymore. I'm obviously watching, dude. I'm like, shut up. But 16, it's time you get your driver's license. I'd say 9 to 15.
For sure, that's great call.
And
I'd say even by 15. I'd say if you're 13 or 14, if you're growing in a mustache and you're still watching Saved by the Bell, you're an asshole. But I feel like because and especially me and you were watching that in syndication, where this is before our time of watching that in real time. Or do you remember watching Saved by the Bell in real time?
Wrong and right on that, because it wasn't like they went out of syndication where it didn't go off air for 2 years, because the college years was still our time. And it wasn't like they were bringing back this crazy Saved by the Bell show that was on years ago.
Okay, that's true.
They were doing college. It was a 1 year gap.
But I mean, I
think new episodes were coming out when we were kids, but I couldn't remember. I couldn't tell you a time. But it was oh, dude, Thursdays at 8, Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, for sure. I'm assuming the college years it was a Saturday afternoon show, but was it your Saved by the Bell lifelong watching experience exclusively as an after school programming as well? Because that's for me, it would be on TBS after school, but on the daily syndication run. So it was a show for maybe I'll start off the list, but whenever we would get a Miss Bliss episode, it would be a random treat because it was the syndication cycled back, and it would be you know what I mean? Even for a third grade kid, it would be nostalgic looking at the early years of Saved by the Bell. Be man, Zack looks so young. It's
that's what. Well, I mean, he was young. He was 13.
Yeah,
but he's only so much older than us. But that's when the show was called Good Morning Miss Bliss.
Yeah.
Before it was even Saved by the Bell. I think the only original cast members that made it from Good Morning Miss Bliss was just Zack and Lisa.
It wasn't all of the original. Wasn't the whole gang, of course.
That show too was actually set in they were in Ohio. And it was you're telling me Zack and Lisa both moved to California at the same time?
Yes, you're right. That's such a good call. That is something that was a mind fuck as a kid. It was and again, it was being able to be ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? Whereas even as a third grade kid, I was just so you expect me to believe that they moved?
Mm-hmm. But again, we've talked about this in this show that I thought high school was going to be Saved by the Bell. And then my first freshman year in high school, and I was just hey, what's up? Are you the preppy one? They're shut up, faggot, give me your chain. I was oh my God, dude.
Point me to the max.
But I would say also then, kind of in that aspect of just looking at Miss Bliss, I would say one of my greatest moments of Saved by the Bell is literally, and especially looking at it as a California show now at this point, is just the theme song. Of just the baby blue background and the sneaker and when I
wake up in the morning and I get
7:30 and I know I'll never wake up my own time.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely an epic 90s sitcom theme song for sure. And that is definitely one like super just famous thing about the show, I guess kind of similar, not really necessarily an episode moment, but just like a famous thing, but like the timeout, Zack freezing, calling time, and like freezing things in every episode, like Zack's power to just stop and then give a little soliloquy along the side was like an epic.
This has been brought up also in our Breaking the Fourth Wall closer look before, but you're right.
Okay, you're right, yeah. Well, I think we've also done a Saved by the Bell closer look before. As well, we have definitely done our Saved by the Bell trivia where we talked about fucking our favorite Saved by the Bell. So this isn't our first Saved by the Bell foyer, but as well, like Zack's phone. You know what I mean? Like, that's just an iconic thing, and that's still, like, a pop culture reference. Oh, the Zack Morris phone. Like, that's just a thing that still is just will live forever in the annals of time. It's taken straight from Saved by the Bell.
Hey, man, I still wear my buddy Bracelet, all right? Because let's start talking about, because we're just talking about, honestly, like, we're still talking about this, like, iconic, the theme song, this scenario, the idea of it, how we watch it. Let's start talking about like real episodes, iconic Saved by the Bell moments. And I'm just going to start at the top, all right? Because I think we all know the thing that even if you didn't want Saved by the Bell, I think everyone knows just the Jessie Spano, not her becoming a showgirl, but her becoming just hooked on speed and being so excited.
Yeah, the early meth head.
She's so scared. She's so scared, Liam. She's so scared.
Yeah, her caffeine pill addiction episode was definitely, I'd say, yeah, I'd say that's definitely the single most famous episode of Saved by the Bell, or the most single famous like storyline anyway. Was the I'm so excited, and her freaking spaz out with her caffeine pills.
Not to really deep dive too much on like, because like this is supposed to be funny and like we got a lot of hot. Great moments from Saved by the Bell, but not to do deep dive on the writing. But really, did they have like one of the best writers on that episode and be like, "Oh, it should be the character you least expect, like the one that's always getting straight in." We're gonna have Jessie addicted on like speed and be like, "Holy fuck! Like, is this great writing?" Like, if you break down the hilarity of her like dancing and saying, "I'm so excited," and Zack sneaking through the tree.
No, I mean, of course it should be Zack. That's the irresponsible one, all hopped up on caffeine pills. Slater, of course, yeah,
or Lisa, or any of the other ones.
yeah. Anybody but Jessie, of course.
You would think Jessie would be the one.
The golden child. I'd say that was a classic episode. Another classic episode would maybe be the oil spill in Bayside, which features Zack holding the duck.
Becky the duck.
Of course. Or maybe another great animal episode, but how about Slaters Chameleon Arnie? R.I.P. Arnie, another R.I.P. from the animal kingdom. But Slater's like, was it a chameleon or salamander or whatever? He did his like whole presentation about his pet fucking lizard Arnie. Slater was the best, fucking.
Dude, Slater was the best and Zack was the worst, because I think on the same episode you found out that Slater's AC stood for Albert Clifford.
Okay,
Zack
great
was
call.
Also trying to bang his cousin in the same episode.
Yeah,
it was just like, "Oh, you're Slater's cousin? Before I fuck you, Timmy all Slater's secret."
Yeah.
Dude, before we go any further, there's this thing on fucking what's it called?
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. Where it's called Zack Morris is the worst. Zack Morris is trash. And it's just the guy that breaks down how Zack Morris is. But dude, how about the only person that's
we've had to have talked about that before, but I mean, really talk about talk about something that will change your like whole perception of life. But when you realize what a fucking total douche Zack Morris was for all of those episodes, it's like just for it's a similar fashion of looking back and realizing that Hulk Hogan was secretly like a total asshole bad guy in the ring, and everybody just thought he was like he would do all of the bad guy tactics but still be the good guy. That was Zack, like the most beloved character of my childhood, turned out to be the biggest douche, like a fucking sexual pedophile, like pervert. He's turning in the pictures of all of his friends in the bathing suits to the calendar, trying to profit off of that. He's trying to fuck Slater's cousin
off in a poker game. He's doing that.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that blonde-haired, blue-eyed Zack Morris walked into his classroom dressed as a Native American and being like, "How my people's land was raped."
Running Zack. Yeah, no,
Zack, that was his name. He was gonna trend.
Yeah. Zach's fucking in like the full-on fucking native headdress and all, and he wore.
And dude, it's like so serious.
There had to be a "Hey, how are ya"
Like,
situation in that.
In that aspect, Zack Morris is like the guy, the white guy at the Black Lives Matter protest freaking out too much. Where like Zack is like, "Oh, you think it's funny I'm dressed like this?" It's
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Zach learned over the course, because that was definitely one of the definitive things about Saved by the Bell, and I guess really about all, even I guess in WandaVision we kind of made a little bit of a joke towards it, but like the very special episode of sitcoms, and I guess Saved by the Bell, that's one of the things where it's just like for us watching it as really little kids, I don't know if it was like, if they kind of all were supposed to be quasi-educational from that like adolescent learning aspect, right? Or were there like special episodes?
There was always supposed to be a lesson. There were special episodes, though. I think the Jesse one was. I think another one is when Zack and Slater found the joint.
Yes, of course.
And Slater like fucking lost it, dude. Like punched a hole in a locker, and then they make friends with like what's his name, like Johnny Montana, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude,
they go to the party in the hills.
He's just trying to get Kelly to blaze.
Yeah.
And then, dude,
they are high school kids in California. I mean,
yeah. No hope of dope, because it turns out Belding has been best friends with the president of NBC this whole time. He's like, "Oh, you remember my old Bayside classmate?"
Well, the best Belding episode was easily with Belding's brother Ron Belding.
Ron Belding was like
the sleazeball that was like, he was definitely gonna bang Kelly. Talking about, speaking of banging Kelly, if you gave Ron a couple more episodes, he was Rod
like Rod Belding.
Yeah.
Was cool.
Even
Rod Belding, President Mr. Belding wanted to go skiing. Rod Belding was like, "Oh, you can go skiing, but we can go white water rafting." And then the reason he just ditches the trip, is not even because he's just a dirtball. He was just like, "Zach, I met a air stewardess named Inga. I'm gonna fuck Inga." He like had a legitimate excuse.
Yeah,
it totally played to character. It wasn't like he was just like, "Oh, I'm an alcoholic." He was just like, "No, I'm a puss hound, Zach. Like I told you, dude. Inga. Her name is Inga."
Yeah. No, for sure. But the old stewardess, the old irresistible stewardess named Inga.
Belding. Nothing then better than, well, one, any episode with Tori, but two, Zach delivering Mrs. Belding's baby in the elevator with Tori. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot about
like
Zach.
Ultimate revenge from Zach. He was like, "Hey, Principal Belding, I seen your wife's pussy."
Yeah, now, Tori was after the other girls left, right?
Tori
replaced, or was Tori the one from the beach?
They had no. Okay, that's
who is the one from the Malibu?
The one from the beach is the lady from King of Queens.
Okay, yes, Leah Ramey. Okay, exactly. Leah Ramey yes, for sure.
Pelosia.
Tori was, yeah.
Tori came on when they actually like did an episode where they all got their diploma and like we all graduate, and just with no continuity, they're like, "We're gonna do another season." But Kelly and Jesse had already left. They're like, "All right, let's bring Tori on." And then like, Zach fucked that biker chick? No way. But then they broke continuity because you're right. They had that, and then they had the college years where like Zach and Kelly. Well, Kelly wasn't even on the show. It was like Slater, Zach, and somebody else was their roommate. And then there was two girls they were creeping on. And then Kelly and Lisa finally came on the show. And then there was the Vegas wedding. And now even on the new show now on the Peacock Network, which turns out is free, they fucking like that's all continuity. Like it's Zach and Kelly's kid that like is like.
I don't even know that there was a. So there's like a Sopranos. There's a
new
No
Saved
Saints
by
of
the Bell.
Newark style Saved by the Bell series going on.
It's hilarious,
where
because it's like it's woke now. So like they make reference to Franklin.
Running Zack would not have made it in a woke culture.
They even show like Zach, like he's like doing his background. He was now the mayor of LA. But they show he's like, then I was a lawyer. It just shows a picture of him and like on Franklin and Bash with the guy from Franklin and Bash. He's like,
Nice.
awesome.
Oh,
But then
epic.
it's like
They showed
the
either
rest of the
Franklin
show,
and
like,
or Bash as the other.
they just have a blonde-haired kid that looks like Zach. But the rest of the show is just from the perspective of this Spanish girl that actually lives in LA, and she's like, can't Zach see that like people don't live like him? And it's just the Spanish girl that's like going to school at Bayside with like the kids of the Bayside gang. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I
mean, honestly, Saved by the Bell was a pretty racially diverse show for 90s standards. They had Lisa and Slater.
Mario Lopez.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess
Pretty sure there was a Jewish one.
But I guess that does bring up something that anytime Saved by the Bell comes up, Franklin and Bash always has to get mentioned, as well does Showgirls, I guess, if we're talking about the real college years.
Yeah.
Because that's what I like to refer to as the college years.
Dude, let's think of one more thing, because I just want to say this one, because I'm pretty much done here. But kind of like we were talking about, like the love interest, and with Valentine's Day being around the corner, nothing broke my heart more when Zach and Kelly were supposed to go to prom together, and then Kelly kissed the other guy she worked with at the Max. If you remember that, like the manager. But then looking back on it, it was like, hang on, man. That guy had to be 22 versus Kelly's like 17 at best.
Anytime you're out of high school and you're going to the prom, even if you're a freshman in college, if you're out of high school, it's fucking too late for the prom. I'm sorry.
Not even that. Actively broke up a high school couple. Was like, come on, baby.
This is some Marilyn Manson grooming style shit here.
I just want to take a bite out of you and smash your brain.
Yeah, 100%. And we know the creepy guys at the restaurant that try to fuck the hostess, not the waitresses. We know that whole scene.
Despite what you think, it's not Rod Belding. It's always the assistant manager of the Mac.
Ooh, baby, it's time to get geeked up.